I am God. You're God? What are you talking about? I said, yeah, I'm God and God is me. The same divine spark that created everything in the entire universe is the same divine spark that's inside of every atom inside of my body. And so by that method, I am God and God is me. And so are you. And so is this young lady as well. We're all the same. We're all part of that same one divine consciousness. That threw him off right away. Then because he's a program code, he couldn't even conceive of what I had just told him. He didn't even have an epiphany with that. He went right back into his pitch. And I said, okay, I'll listen to you if you can answer some questions. Can you answer some questions? And I said, when was the Bible written? And he goes, oh, it was written thousands of years ago. I said, oh man. I said, no, the Bible wasn't written thousands of years ago. I said, do you even know who wrote the Bible? Oh yeah, Paul, Peter, John. I said, oh my God, listen, man. I said, you happen to stumble into one of the world's foremost experts on biblical texts, the Torah, the ancient tablets in the world. That's who you're talking to right now. Do you understand that the Bible was not written by any of the disciples? He got flabbergasted. I'm like, dude, listen to me. The disciples, if you were to do your studies, they were actually illiterate men. They couldn't read or write. There was nobody standing there transcribing every sentence that they've spoken either. How did the Bible come along, even including the Old Testament? You've heard me say this before. They copied the majority of that stuff from the Enuma Elish, the Atrahasis, the Mahabharata. You have some of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, right? You have in there, you have, like, for example, the 42 Laws of Mayat. You know, that's where you get the 10 Commandments that were extracted from that information. You have the Bhagavad Gita, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. You have the Sumerian tablets that are outside of the Enuma Elish. There's many tablets that exist. The Code of Hammurabi, the Epic of Gilgamesh. I mean, that can just keep going and going and going. And I said, then you have the Emerald Tablets, where Jesus's teachings are identical copies of Thoth's teachings from the ancient Kemetic mystery schools taught 50,000 years ago in the land of Khem, which is now known as Egypt. And I could see the steam coming out of this guy's ears. He couldn't even conceive what the heck I was telling him. And I said, do you know that the Bible was written thousands of years after the people were long gone, dead, buried, bones disintegrated, and everything else on the ground? He said, no, what are you talking about? I said, listen to me, man. The Bible was written from 100 AD to 900 AD. And who wrote the Bible? Those were followers of Thoth. These people didn't write a Bible, by the way. What they did was they started discovering in different caves and different little makeshift buildings that existed a long time ago, these vases with scriptures and cylinder scrolls and papyruses and tablets, and they started collecting them, and they started transcribing that information onto paper, parchment paper, and so forth. And so that text, that information over time would be studied by the Gnostics. Even in more time, much later, you have then the Coptic Christians, and then you also have the councils that were formed. Like, for one is the Council of Nicaea, who then started analyzing a lot of these copied and recopied and recopied and recopied and recopied texts, and started analyzing which ones to keep and which ones to keep out. Which ones to keep, they were thinking, let's make this into an actual canonized book. We'll take this and put that in here. We'll take this one. No, that talks about aliens. We don't want the book of Enoch in here because he's talking about aliens. Let's leave that one out. We don't want the myth of Adapa in here because he's talking about aliens. We don't want that in here. That's the book of Adam. We don't want that in here. So you have all these apocryphal texts that were kept out, right? And the Council of Nicaea coordinate and create this hodgepodge of a book based on hand-picked content, curated content that they wanted, that would allow them to still maintain control over the people.